Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is Reganelite here. Hello, everyone. How you guys doing? I hope you're all doing well. Can't say the same for myself, guys. Sorry, this cough that I've been having is getting worse. I'm going to try my best to keep it in check. Unfortunately, I've ran out of lemons, so I can't have any honey and lemon tonight. I've still got Strepsils to help with soothe it, but it's not really a sore throat. It's the cough itself that I'm trying to stop. I've got a hot chocolate I literally just made just before coming on, so I will drink that in. It's a bit too hot for me now, but I will drink that to help soothe the throat a little bit as well. As for today, guys, I just wanted to share this with you because I showed you guys how much I got in terms of my wrestling content, like the deadline. Look how much I got left. I've only got a little bit left. So tomorrow I'm going to try and finish that off. It's just five more matches, and oh my god, then I can finally relax and relax on it. I'll be so happy indeed. So be a huge relief when it's done. And one less job to do, and then between now and half Saturday. Got to try and record some content for next week for you guys, because I'm not here. Well, I'm technically I should be back Thursday. When I come back from my holiday, I am going to try and book a doctor's appointment and see what they recommend as well. So I can't get one now, guys, at this point because it's just in a few days' time. I am supposed to be going out tomorrow evening to see some family that have travelled over from America, but I don't know if I will or not, depending on this cough. If it gets worse, if it gets worse, I'll leave it. If I can control it tomorrow, then I will go. But I'll have to wait and see. Let me say hello to everyone in the chat. Hello, Jao, one of our moderators. Mikey Famine there. Good to see you there. My friend all the way over from Chicago. Definitely is on my bucket list of places to go at some point in the future. Impersonator, good to see you there. And make sure you subscribe to the BIM Podcast YouTube channel, guys. Please do that. Billy Kershaw, one of our fellow badgers, good evening to you. Sass, good evening to you. Just lurking tonight. No worries, no worries, no worries. Appreciate anybody. I appreciate the lurkers, even if they don't comment. I appreciate the lurkers indeed. Good evening to you, Mr. E. Good to see you there as well. Sarah Davis, good to see you there. I hope you're doing well. Don't you worry. I've got a few clips with regarding to for Wales and Scotland elections as well. Don't worry, I have not ignored them for tonight. I promise you guys, I've got some of them both there. Doc Davis, the doctor is in the house. Doctor, I've got a terrible cough. Can you heal me? I'm joking, Doc Davis. Good to see you there. I hope you're doing well. Oh, that's yeah, it's a bit too hot for me. Need to let it a little down a little bit there. I give Chicago a miss for a few yours. No, absolutely not. I definitely want to visit Chicago. I heard they got good pizza there as well, and I like pizza, so that's another reason for me to go to Chicago. Right, for those who don't know what we do on this live stream, this is Reganelite's Watch Along, and tonight we're going to be looking specifically at the upcoming elections tomorrow. We're going to be looking at pretty much lots of different clips regarding it, pretty much. I do have other stuff, but not a lot. So that's essentially what this live stream is going to be about. I also want to remind people that if you need to take... please check if you need to bring ID to your... if you need to bring ID to vote tomorrow, make sure you do. I know my friends in Scotland have all said, especially in the poll, one of the polls they were saying, I don't need to bring ID. Well, that's fine if you're in Scotland, but not everybody is in Scotland. So if you're in England and Wales, you need to bring make sure you check. If you need to bring ID, please make sure you bring the correct one. If you're not sure, please ask. Make sure if you have a passport, is the passport or driving license is the best I could recommend. There are other options, but they're limited, of course. Please make sure you have that. Voting hours for the time where I will be from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. I'm going to vote early in the morning. That's my plan. So my plan is to get the vote done before I go live tomorrow morning, in case anyone's curious. It is literally 2 minutes. My polling station is literally 2 minutes from where I am. Literally just up the road from here, because up the road from here is a community hall, a community centre, and that's where they do the polling. So very simple for where I live there. So please make sure you do that. In Scotland, you just need your polling card, folks. There you go. Viper Scott says, make sure you bring your polling card. There you go. Just make sure you've got your polling card if you're in Scotland, and very, very important indeed there. Right. So I'm going to start, before we go to the clips, I'm going to start with these here, because I wanted to kind of give you guys a bit of a gauge. Again, I know polls don't really matter, but I kind of just want to give this to you guys here. Excuse me. I am not voting, but I am, but I'm not British or a Tory donor, says Jal. You haven't donated at all. You're not a Tory donor. Maybe you have not. Can you confirm, Jal, in the chat that you have not donated to reform Russia or restore Britain? Can you confirm that in the chat? I'm sure we'll get an answer from Jal. And do check out his YouTube channel, guys, if you haven't already. Right, let's have a look at some of the polls, guys. Again, these are just final indications. It's not what they say. It's about what you do tomorrow, guys. But I'm going to share these with you from YouGov. These are all today. So, I'm going to start with the Wales here. So, overall, the Seed MRP projects a range of outcomes, including a higher-end seat estimate for Plaid Cymru of exactly half the seats in the Welsh Parliament. However, Reform UK emerges as the largest party is still a possibility, occurring in 13% of our model simulations. I'm just going to open it up here so you can just see a little bit closer here. This is what they are projecting here. However, or higher end seat estimates projected for you guys' final MRP poll of the 2026 seed election. So this is what they are projecting. They think that Plaid Cymru will fall just a little bit short, potentially. But there's also a possibility. They do not think that Reform, even if Reform gets a majority, they do not think that they will get that majority there. Well, actually, they don't think Plaid Cymru will get that majority either. So it looks like we're not going to have an overall majority here. It looks like that it is either going to be a Plaid Cymru and Labour coalition, or it could be a Plaid Cymru Green coalition. It could even be Plaid Cymru or Lib Dem coalition. It is possible that Reform Russia and the Conservatives could form a government as well. It's unlikely, but it can happen. If Reform have enough support, if they can convince Welsh Conservatives to back them as well. So that is what they are forecasting there. It's possible that we can have a Reform Conservative coalition in Wales. Here it is from another projection here. It shows Plaid Cymru is on course to be the largest party. This is what they're projecting. Again, do not take this for granted if you are in Wales. You still need to go out and vote. These do not mean that this is definitely going to happen. You just need to go out there and cast your vote. But this is what they're forecasting from the YouGov. And this is what they're projecting in total seats. They are forecasting 43 seats for Plaid Cymru, 34 for a Reform, 12 for Labour, 4 for the Conservatives, 2 for Green, and 1 for Lib Dem. But again, nothing is certain. Very, very important here. Sarah Davis, if that happens, I'm leaving Wales. I'm sorry to hear that. Well, in all seriousness, I think it's very unlikely for it to happen. But don't take anything for granted here at all. Don't take anything for granted there. This is the overall Westminster latest YouGov Westminster voting intention for yesterday for the last 2 days. You're going to hear some grunting and snotting because of my throat. So if you hear that from me, I just wanted to there. This is what the latest polling is indicating overall in the UK, just for reference. This is not just one. It's across overall here. So at the moment, they are forecasting Westminster's voting intentions here. If there is a general election held tomorrow, this is what they're forecasting. My main concern out of all those numbers is Restore Britain. Restore Britain being there is very, very scary indeed. I don't like that at all. Obviously, unfortunately, Reform is still the most popular party. followed closely by Labour, Conservatives, then the Greens, and then Lib Dems, and then a drop down for Restore Britain. Obviously, SNP and Plaid Cymru is for it's different. It's because of Scotland and Wales, respectfully there anyway. Martin says, where do you go from Wales? Reform are a sure bet for the next UK government. Thanks to Labour's absolute failure and betrayal. Excuse me. The thing is that I'm a lot of people are just fed up with the status quo. That's what it is. People are just fed up with the status quo, which is why they're turning. Let me change this on my device so I can see the chat. They're just fed up with the status quo. A lot of people honestly just don't realise how dangerous reform really are. That's the problem. Regardless of the results, Westminster will decide now. It's not the time, but Northern Ireland is different because of GHF. Thank you for pointing that out, Misty. I haven't covered anything from Northern Ireland. I don't know. Are they doing elections tomorrow? Correct me if I'm wrong. Apologies if they are. Do let me know if they are. Apologise if I'm not. Apologies on that. Restore will split the vote. I don't know. No, Restore are not voting in these elections. Restore are not in these elections. They did not get enough time for candidates and that what. So they're not going to be in the voting when it comes to the elections tomorrow. Just for reference. I hope the Greens do well. Even Lib Dems, we all know Labour have covered themselves in the smelly stuff, but I really don't want fascists to win. Says there. Says person impersonator there. Right, let's have a look at Scotland. Again, take it with a pinch of salt. Again, with all these, it's not about what they say here. It's about what people do tomorrow. I'll come to this one first before going to the second one. So it says here, YouGov's final MRP polling of the 2026 Hollywood election shows SNP falling short of a majority, but on course for a fifth term in office. So they are forecasting that the SNP will not get their majority. This is what they're forecasting. Remember, you can change that if you want to keep SNP in the. If you want to vote SNP, make sure you cast your vote for them tomorrow. This is what they are predicting in terms of numbers. SNP 62 seats, Reform Russia 19, Labour 17, Greens 16, Lib Dems 8, Conservatives 7 is what they are forecasting there. This is what they're forecasting on their map. Again, just take it with a pinch of salt. Doesn't mean this is why you should not. Don't take it for granted. Make sure you go out and cast your vote. And I'll just read it here as well. While the SNP are projected to largely hold their ground in seat terms, final MRP for the 2026 Hollywood election shows that this will be in spite of a significant decline in support. So they're predicting regional vote SNP 28%, minus 12 from the 2021 election, Reform plus 19, Labour minus 2, Greens plus 7, Conservatives minus 12, and Lib Dems plus 4 is what they are projecting. Again, it's not guaranteed. So you can see therefore constituency share votes are for 39 and regional vote share for SNP at 28. Again, these are not certainties. These are just polling. You can change that tomorrow. And then just out of curiosity, if the Labour Party replaces Keir Starmer as Prime Minister and Party Leader, do you think there should or should not be a general election? And 53% said there should, 27% said there should not. This was put out today as a question mark there, and you can see the overwhelming majority support it. The only party that doesn't support having another election is Labour, of course, but overall the rest are all saying yes. You can see there are strong opinions for reform and the Conservatives. Even the Lib Dems, the Lib Dems are against it as well. The Greens just about support a general election. But yeah, Labour and the Lib Dems are saying overall no to having another general election if there's a replacement of the leader. Generally curious, so some curious numbers to give you guys anyway, but I thought they were worth sharing with you guys indeed. So of course ahead, I think it's only worth we listen to an expert when it comes to coming up to these elections tomorrow. And Professor Sir John Curtis, one of the best polling experts, he was speaking to the BBC Radio 4 a few days ago here. And it says, ahead of the local elections in England, Wales and Scotland on Thursday, the BBC's lead election analyst, Professor Sir John Curtis, gave the rundown of key battles faced by political parties at the polls. He very rarely gets it wrong. Let me put it that way. But let's hear what he has to say with what's happening with these battlegrounds.
Wales has always been Welsh and Labour ever since the 1920s, and in a sense it's staggering that we're even thinking of the prospect of Labour losing. But it's not just apparently that Labour are set to lose. They're apparently, according to the polls, set to be third, and the Conservatives at best fourth. Now, this is a part of the country which in 2021, when there was the last Senate election, it was Labour first, Conservative second. What's it now a battle between? It's a battle between Plaid Cymru, the Welsh Nationalist Party, and Reform. The polls finding it quite difficult to separate them. Labour did very well in Scotland in 2024. They recovered their ground. They were 5 points ahead of the SNP. And as a result, you could feel the Scottish Labour Party measuring the curtains and the carpets of Bute House, which is the Downing Street of Edinburgh. But that mood rapidly disappeared because, frankly, basically, support for Labour in Scotland has fallen away precipitously in much the same way as it has across the UK as a whole. Whereas the SNP, at least, have managed to hang on to the support they had in 2024. That does mean they're much less popular than they were back in 2021. But what Reform have done, they're not as popular in Scotland as elsewhere, but they're still running at around 16% of the vote. That has fractured the vote for the SNP's opponents. And given that 73 of the 129 seats in Scotland are elected by first past the post, it looks as though the SNP will be at least somewhere not a million miles away from the 64 seats that they had in 2021.
So, which we saw from one of the YouGov polls, is that the SNP could be short of a majority, but he's pretty much on the spot of what the polls were saying for YouGov forecasting for tomorrow. But again, like we say, we'll have to wait and see there. So they are predicting a few less for the SNP, but but it's all about what you do tomorrow. You know, making sure everybody gets out and votes, of course. Good evening, Dave McGears. Hope you are doing well there. Yes, do check out the Two Davies YouTube channel. Giles just provided a link there. Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see how these all result. And by the way, I'm going to be my Good Morning show on Friday is going to be election special. We'll have a look at some of the numbers. Obviously, we're not going to get all the results, but we'll see what are local elections results, what we're going to see in terms of election results that Friday morning. So you can join me on Friday for all the information on that.
England, I think basically there are three key battlegrounds that will illustrate the extent to which or otherwise Reform and the Greens between them are posing a serious challenge to the traditional Conservative Labour duopoly. Battleground number one is between Labour and Reform. It's in the north of England. There are certain councils like Barnsley and Sunderland, which Labour have never lost since they were created in the 1970s, which voted very heavily for Brexit back in 2016. And support for Reform is very, very heavily concentrated amongst Leave voters. The polls, at least, rightly or wrongly, suggest that maybe Reform could gain control of those councils in much the same way as they gained control of Durham last year. Second key battleground is between Reform and the Conservatives. The Conservatives have less to defend in England this year because it's mostly urban England, but there are three county council elections postponed from last year. Remember the arguments about the government's trying to get rid of elections. Norfolk, Suffolk, Essex. Again, places where Brexit is relatively popular and where, again, Reform could deny the Conservatives control of councils that the Conservatives have, frankly, only ever been the only party to ever to control them.
It's interesting how he brings up the Leave voters. You know, the Leave voters who haven't had the benefits of Brexit, because they still haven't realised that Brexit actually made their lives worse. But everything else that's going on around in the world is overshadowing the damage of Brexit. And I think a lot of people aren't noticing that. A lot of people are not noticing that there. There was an interesting video from Van Man Talks today where I believe it was his sister or sister-in-law asked Van Man whether or not she should vote Conservative in order to keep reform out. Because she said where she is, it's a straight choice between Conservatives and Reform, because it's one of those two who are likely to win in one of the council seats there, and she doesn't want to vote for either. And so if I was put on the spot and I said you have to vote Conservative to keep Reform out, my personal response, I would not vote Conservative. I have a great deal of hatred for the Conservative Party, even more to Reform, personally. And the reason why I say that is because they have never been sorry for what they did in government. Don't get me wrong, a Reform government is going to be absolutely horrible, but I cannot, in my conscience, would ever vote Conservative, even if it meant putting Reform in. I know some people will vehemently disagree with that position of mine, but I just feel personally, after what the Conservatives have done, they are not worth giving. In my opinion, they are not worth giving your vote to keep Reform out. In my opinion, I know some people will disagree, but I would not give my vote to the Conservatives in any way, shape, or form. But that's my personal opinion. Obviously, if she wants to vote Conservative to keep Reform out, that's entirely her choice. I know a lot of people will be doing tactical voting in places as well. I don't. This area where I am has always been a Labour stronghold, but the Greens have been making some really great gains here the last couple of elections, and they've got a very good chance of taking this area where I am. Even Zach Polanski's been in the air, has been here. A couple of weeks ago, he was here in this part of London. So the Greens have a very strong chance of winning where I am, and Reform have a very strong chance of winning where the Conservatives are, up the quite far up the road from where I live, the main town centre, which I'm not looking forward to seeing either. Right, so let's have a look at a bunch of different clips regarding the local elections. We will come to Wales and Scotland. I'm not going to leave them out, I promise. But we're going to start here right at the bottom here. We're going to hear from Zach Polanski here, where he says Labour have let people down, but it's not enough to say don't vote for the bad option. The Green Party offers hope and a plan.
Labour have let people down, but it's not enough just to say don't vote for the bad option. The Green Party offer hope and a plan. And what is that plan? It's to build council homes. It's to make sure that we're bringing in rent controls, that we're advocating for cheaper transport, both at the council level, but frankly, at the London Assembly and across the whole of London. And also making sure that our communities are served by councillors who are not in the pockets of property developers or corporate companies, but councillors who only have two vested interests. Every Green councillor cares about protecting their local community and protecting the planet.
Now, there has been some people, respectfully, in the chat have said that not all Green councillors have been like that. And I will say there is no such thing as a perfect party. There's going to be flaws and there's going to be candidates who are not always representing your interests. And that is problematic indeed. But regardless of the bollocks going around Zach Polanski, and I say the bollocks because it's a lot of noise from the mainstream media in attempts to try and smear and undermine Zach Polanski. For me, it's about the policies. It's about what Green Party policies are supposed to be, what they're supposed to be on a local level, and what they will do for you there. But that's one of many pictures the Green Party will make.
We've seen petrol prices go up, diesel prices go up, and Liberal Democrats are the only parties saying, look, the government's making a fortune from taxes on these higher oil and gas prices. It should recycle that back to help families and pensioners and businesses suffering with those high transport costs. And we've come forward with a costed package to do just that, which would actually take 12p a litre off at the pumps.
And we're going to hear an election video from the Liberal Democrats as well there. Lib Dems might. I've got a funny feeling Lib Dems are going to do well in some of these elections. We saw some forecasts that they might do all right in Scotland as well, possibly. I don't know enough about it to comment on it, but that's what polling is projecting. But that, like I said before, it doesn't guarantee anything there. For sure. Can we back not speaking as well?
What we're seeing is the era of two-party politics moving into multi-party politics. There are no safe seats for any party. We all have to work hard for every vote. What will be a disaster is seeing more Labour, more Lib Dems, more Green, more Reform, because none of these people are serious. The only party that is serious and that has a plan, not just for local councils, but for the country, is the Conservatives.
And yep, and they've already told you what that plan is, right? And you know what that plan is, right? Because Kemi assumes that you already know what the Conservatives' plan is, right? Right, chat? Right, chat?
Whether it's our plan to get Britain working, whether it's our cheap power plan, drilling oil and gas in the North Sea, lowering taxes, abolishing stamp duty, abolishing business rates for small businesses. We have a plan. No one else does.
Yep, apparently they have a plan. I'll let you decide in the chat whether you believe that plan indeed. Here is the Prime Minister. Let's hear him out. Let's hear him out. I know you guys have got the knives ready, but just let's hear him out.
I know that whatever's going on in the world, whatever's going on in politics, the thing that people care about and are most concerned about is the cost of living. And so it's really important that we as a government keep our focus on the cost of living, and in particular, just at the moment, make sure that although we're not going to get drawn into the war in Iran, I've been really clear about that, but we have a duty and we must protect the British public from the impact of that, and that's what I'll continue doing.
In terms of the war in Iran, you can give him credit for that. However, you can't say anything. He's got not a leg to stand on when it comes to what Israel have been conducting inside Gaza, inside the West Bank, as well as Palestinian prisoners, and in Lebanon. He's got no leg to stand on there. And there was no, and many other things as well. So, yeah, it's not looking good for Keir at all here. Now, unfortunately, like I said, I know people are going to hate this, but you know, let's hear Nigel Farage out and hear his position. I know, you know, we got to hear different sides of view here, guys. I know, but I want to be a little bit more fair with the voices here.
Well, we launched this campaign 3 weeks ago saying vote reform, get Starmer out. And all the evidence is we're doing incredibly well in many, many traditional Labour areas, the kinds of parts of the country that they've dominated now for over a century. I'm thinking in particular about parts of the North East, parts of the North West, Yorkshire, the West Midlands, and in particular Wales, especially the valleys, where Labour have not lost an election for well over 105 years. Now, Parliament has had its chance to do something about this, but of course didn't. The only way to get rid of this awful, unpatriotic Prime Minister is for people to go out, vote reform tomorrow in big numbers, and the rumblings have started already amongst the Parliamentary Labour Party. Get a big success tomorrow against this Prime Minister, against this Labour Party, and he'll be gone by the middle of summer. So the message is clear. If you want real change, you'd better vote for it. And we go into tomorrow feeling pretty optimistic about our prospects, the length and breadth of the United Kingdom, and I hope and believe we'll emerge over the course of the next couple of days as the only true national party campaigning in all parts of the United Kingdom.
Yep, guys, if you do vote for reform, you will get change, but you won't get the change that you want, in my personal opinion. In my personal opinion, I don't think the change that he is offering you, whether you are in England, whether you are in Scotland or Wales, will be beneficial to you. Unless, of course, you are somebody who has a vast amount of wealth, unless you have a big business, or you happen to be somebody at a particular certain age, and the perks that reform offer may be beneficial to you. However, you are also planning to screw over the younger generation in doing so. I highly recommend not voting for Reform UK, because of many of their policies that, in my opinion, do not benefit you or your community. That is my personal opinion. And a reminder, this is a Labour MP, just for reference here, but it's a reminder that Reform are not on your side. From Natia Whittleman here, I'll remind people of some of the things that Reform have said.
If you're a woman, or you're an ethnic minority, or you're LGBT, or disabled, if you rent, if you work for a living, if you rely on public services, if you are part of the 99%, not the 1%, Reform is not on your side. We know that it wasn't migrants, or Muslims, or trans kids, or whoever they go after next, who cut our public services, who sold off our public utilities and our council housing, who bled our councils and our communities dry. It was right-wing Conservative governments, cut from the same cloth as Reform. Some of them are literally the same people, the same Tory ministers, like Robert Jenrick, who are directly responsible for this stuff. Reform tried to divide us, so we don't stand up and fight for ourselves and for each other, so they can do what they exist to do, which is to represent the super wealthy. They're multimillionaire donors. They're part of the class that created those problems. They profit from them, and they want to rig the economy to make exploitative landlords, bosses, and corporations even more powerful than they already are.
Yep, they do. I couldn't agree more. But I wouldn't, but obviously she's representative of Labour here. Now I'm going to challenge this guy here, because he's very much against the Green Party, because he's a representative of Labour here. He says, think your vote doesn't have consequences. Think again, the Green Party are calling for big change, from drug decriminalisation to leaving NATO, and a very different economic approach. These aren't small shifts, they will reshape the country. But let's hear him out before I tackle some of the points that he makes in his video here, guys.
Is it worth the risk? The beauty of democracy is you can vote for whoever you like, but it's important to be clear about what that choice really means. If you vote Green in these local elections, you're voting towards the decriminalisation of all drugs. Now, I have children, no thanks. You're voting in the middle of two major conflicts to leave NATO. Absolutely no thanks. You're also voting for someone whose fiscal policy would seriously undermine, if not destroy, our economy.
You mean the debt or the deficit?
The debt.
Okay, the debt is
Sorry,
much
the deficit, sorry.
Okay.
Absolutely no thanks. From my perspective, these are really serious times. We need serious policies and we need serious politics. So before you vote, ask yourself, is that risk worth taking?
Yes, is my response. It is worth the risk. As for, first of all, so obviously he said about decriminalising drugs. I'm thinking about my kids. And for that, obviously, he hasn't read the policy, so that shows how thick he is. It would not simply be a case of kids being able to go into a drugstore and be able to buy what they want. No, it would be regulated. This is the key thing that he fails to mention, is that drugs will be regulated under it. And we have a serious drug issue in England in particular. I'm not speaking for Wales or Scotland, I'm to speak for England in particular here. And that their idea is to decriminalise it would mean that it would be more in control, and rather than it on the black market. And we've seen a few weeks ago, there was a convenience store that was selling any drugs to anybody, regardless of who they were. And this is apparently something that is quite poignant among many corner shops and convenience stores. It's very, very easy to get your hands on drugs on the black market. So that's the first point there. The second point he makes about leaving NATO. Let's be absolutely clear. Zach Polanski has said that it would not be a case of us leaving NATO straight away. It's not like Reform, who say that they're going to leave the ECHR straight away. No, that's not what the Green Party is doing. Well, the Green Party are looking for an alternative system to NATO, one that everyone will get on board with, because the system that works in NATO does not benefit everyone, because we have members that are permanent members that have too much power. So the system is not fair in NATO. So what they want to do is create a new system. That is what the long-term goal is. So it's not a case of the Greens if the Greens come to power that they're going to essentially say, right, we're done, we're leaving NATO. That's just not it at all. So that's also a lie here. He also says about leaderships with real politics and real seriousness. Well, we already seen just how real and how serious Labour have been for the last year and a half when it comes to improving our lives. Now, they have brought some good policies in, but the vast majority have not been good. They've been fucking about in the cabinet with bringing up policies that had nothing to do with their manifesto pledge. And the biggest crime of them all was this Labour government trying to cut disability benefits for people at a time when people are already struggling as it is. We see Labour talking a lot about the cost of living crisis now, but they haven't, and it took so goddamn long for them to remove the 2-child benefit cap, which they should have done right at the start. They would have won a lot more fanfare, and they've also wouldn't have removed the whip from a bunch of Labour MPs as well. So I'm not going to take lectures from this guy who clearly has no idea about the Green Party and its policies, and I suggest he does some research into them before, making a video about them, just saying on that matter. Speaking of criticism, Zach Polansky here was put under the spotlight as well. Nick Robertson grills Zach Polansky over claims that Palestine is on the ballot in tomorrow's local elections here. So I want to respond to some of the things that Nick Robertson says and what Zach Polansky says in regards to this as well, because I do think Palestine is on the ballot box in some cases? I do, but let me just hear the questions and answers first before I respond.
Do you believe that Palestine is, to coin a phrase, on the ballot this Thursday?
I think lots of things are on the ballot this Thursday.
But it is Palestine on the ballot this Thursday?
I think it's one of the elements, as is the climate crisis, as is...
What does it mean, Palestine is on the ballot? Because the reason I ask you is because your candidate for Mayor of Lewisham says Palestine is on the ballot this Thursday. Haringey Green Party campaign launch video, you might think it'd be about bins. You might think it'd be about schools, hospitals. It might be about cleaning up the roads. It is a series of councillors saying, as a councillor, I will take all appropriate steps to uphold the inalienable rights of the Palestinian people.
Now, he does have a point to a certain extent, Nick Robertson, here, in saying that these are local elections. These are not national elections. And we have to be absolutely clear here, is that as councillors, you cannot control what goes on in the Middle East. You can't control what goes on there. And it's easy. It's very, very, I want to be absolutely honest with you guys. I'm not going to bullshit you guys. Like, these people saying they're going to stand up for Palestine, right? These councillors who are putting Palestine forward, right? That's all well and good, but you're not going to be able to change what's happening over there. And a lot of people in some of these areas are like, yeah, I support, obviously, the rights of Palestinian people. But Nick is right in saying, well, what about the local issues? What are you going to do differently compared to the councillors that I have now? What are you going to do to ensure that my bins get picked up? What are you going to do to ensure potholes are going to be filled? What are you going to do to ensure local issues are going to be filled? Like, making Palestine the forefront of local elections, it might win some votes. It might win some Muslim votes, of course, not just Muslim, but other votes. But by the way, it doesn't guarantee Muslim votes for reference there. These are also about local issues as well. So I do think, Nick does have a fair point in making this case. But as we already heard from Zach Polansky, it is one of many things that people are discussing on the ballot box with regards to these elections, which I think is very, very important. It's not just about one topic. So the question is some of these candidates who are making Palestine their essential platform, is that a good thing, or is that a good thing? Or should they be talking about local issues rather than bringing up Palestine? I'll let you guys decide in the chat there.
Do you think council elections really should be about Palestine?
I think they can be about all of those things. And I think what people have seen in this country is a genocide for 2.5 years that our government is still arming, are still sharing intelligence with. And I think lots of people feel very strongly, both about their local services, as they should do, and feel equally strongly about the fact that there's a reprehensible genocide happening. And they vote
but
for
the way they vote in local elections should be determined by their views of Israel and Palestine.
I wouldn't tell anyone how their vote should be determined, but I think it's an element for lots of people in how they vote.
And you think that will contribute to community cohesion, do you?
I think, yes.
How?
Because I think we shouldn't pit Jewish safety against a genocide in Gaza. That's conflating anti-Semitism and criticism of the Israeli government. That's Something Benjamin Netanyahu does regularly, and as a Jewish person, that makes me feel less safe.
Sure.
And that's a very good point here, and it's very important to not conflate that. I don't want to get too deep into that conversation already, but we've had that conversation before here. Jao says an addict here just needs to step into a health center, and he will be able to enter a program immediately. And selling drugs is, of course, still a crime, says Jao. That's in Portugal for reference there. Addiction is a disease. Absolutely it is. Chris says, I agree that addiction is a very cool disease that itself shouldn't be treated as a criminal offence. However, we need the police to go after the county line ringleaders hard. Yes, we do. But we need to, we do need to tackle down more on that. The problem is that because we've been in a society where we've never decriminalised all our drugs, it's so embedded into the system. I'm not sure what would happen what will happen when we get to that point, if we ever get to that point there as well.
Sure, but there are lots of Jewish people who would say to you they feel unsafe if they feel that their counsellors are motivated first and foremost by Palestine. And if somebody gives that speech, for example, about Palestine being on the ballot, they are likely to think that. We looked, for example, at Barnet Greens, where 1 in 7 residents identify as Jewish, and it includes in its manifesto the fact that you're standing up for Palestine. Do you think that's going to help things?
Well, I walk regularly on Palestinian marches with hundreds and hundreds, in fact, thousands of people, many of whom are Jewish, and there have been rabbis who have spoken out on this too. I accept, though, there are Jewish people whose views are equally as valid, who don't agree with those views. And I think the job of all of us who are in public life right now is to de-escalate tensions.
And he's absolutely right. It's about de-escalating the tensions there. But you can see, I know Nick Robinson's painting the narrative, and we all know that there. But I do agree with one or 2 points of those. Is it right to be putting Palestine at the forefront of your campaigns for local elections? I do think that's definitely something that is questionable by some Green candidates, because while you could woo over some voters with regards to that, are you actually going to make a difference in those local areas where the locals candidates have been doing well? For example, where I am, where it's been a strong Labour hold. If Greens do take over here, are we still going to get our bins collected? Are we still going to get potholes fixed? Are we still going to have local issues sorted in the same way as we did with the Labour? That's a fair question I think is worth asking with regards to that there. Now, yes, I will go say take this with a pinch of salt, but I do think it's worth listening from a right-wing's perspective here. This is from the Telegraph here. So Reform Russia are battling to win the east of England, traditional Conservative heartlands. In the upcoming local elections, the Telegraph's political area was given access to a day on the campaign trail with Robert Jenrick, travelling across Norfolk and Suffolk, and they're actually on the doorstep talking to some candidates. Now, I don't know, I'm just going to say off the bat, I don't know if the persons that they speak to are real voters or not. You can make a distinction on that, but let's have a listen to some of this, guys.
Your Reform's manifests create kind of this division.
We don't create division at all. English people are not racist in the slightest.
Obviously.
There are some out there, and that is true. But I agree that not all English are racist. However, there are some in our society. That is as an unfortunate circumstances. But to say that it's hard when you have a lot of people, especially in far right rallies, you know.
I'm not originally from here. Okay, I came here. I consider myself as a contributing citizen. People that come from here and that they are looking to a betterment of their life. What do you think of that?
Well, if they come here legally and are happy to integrate, I think that's a great thing. I mean, there are many people I've spoken to, many people I know that have actually come over. They're happy to come over. They want to raise their children in a British fashion.
It's really just been about the number of people, because the numbers of people who've come legally have been very high in recent decades.
Yeah, but the thing is that we've heard from the likes of Restore Britain, they would deport someone like him because he's not British. You know, how do we know reform wouldn't go this far as well? You know,
and that's put a lot of pressure on housing, public services. You know, we just feel that far too many people have come in recent times.
Yeah, and obviously they don't have a you know, it's all well and good reform saying we need to reduce these numbers, but they don't have a solution to dealing with the unemployment crisis, by the way.
Raising children in the British fashion, like what do you mean by that?
A lot of people like the English way of bringing their children to this country.
What does that mean? What does that mean, guys? Can someone explain that to me? What does that mean? I don't. What do you mean by that exactly? I'm English. I have a British passport. Born and raised in England. I don't know what that means. I'm not exactly sure what that means, but okay, carry on.
Raising them with English values.
English values. What are English values, chat? Can you tell me what some of the English values are? Does it mean always drinking tea? Because I'm not a tea person. Does that mean always having yourselves a bit of fish and chips? Which I'm not. I'm more of a battered sausage and chips person myself. Does it mean that I have to have an English flag outside my house, you know, all the time? Like, what does it mean? What does it mean? You know, these terms, like, it's very vague terms. It's not direct. As Billy Kershaw says, it's word salad.
Some people obviously want to continue on with their own religion, which is fine.
No, that's a lie from them. That's a lie from them. And from Restore Britain, they do not want them here. I'm not buying that whatsoever. They're just saying that on the doorstep because there's a camera there.
But it's sort of like integration and working together, I think.
Well, isn't that what some of them were? Isn't that what most of them were already doing, guys? Isn't that what some of them were already doing? Was we not before we had this whole immigration rhetoric built up originally by the Conservatives, by the BNP, by the rise of UKIP, before these parties were a problem? Were we not already integrating a lot of people into our society? Maybe it's just me, but maybe you guys are the ones who are breaking communities rather than bringing communities together here. And she says, I think. So she's not 100% convinced with what she's saying here.
So I don't abide to any like religion or whatever.
That's
okay,
fine.
and that's fine, and I respect. But the thing is, I respect other people's
Absolutely.
religions and choices. And it seems that your reforms manifests is to kind of create kind of this division of like us and them.
No, we don't do that at all. We want to integrate with you. Your ways and what you've just said to me prove that you want to be part of England and you want to be part of the British way. You want to continue on your lifestyle as it is. We don't create division at all.
Bullshit! Sorry guys, I had to say that. They're making me cough with that bullshit there, guys. Chris C says, British values, as defined by the UK government for education and public life, including democracy, the rule of law, individual liberty, and mutual respect and tolerance for different faiths and beliefs. Isn't that what all values should be? Isn't that, I consider that more human values more than just British values. Isn't that more human values, I would say? Not just British. I'm English with North African roots way back, says Suzanne. Yeah. And absolute. Thank you for sharing that. Appreciate that. For fuck's sake, says Martin. Yeah. You know what? Actually, in all seriousness, speaking of African roots, it is a continent I do want to set foot on one day in my life. Africa, I do want to at one point. Libisca seems not to be the same from what I see. Dole Tube compared to the early 2000s. Everywhere seems to be the same soaps as Mr. E. Bullshit. Reform UK exists to sow division. I know.
I mean, English people are not racist in the slightest.
This is going. I'm laughing and I'm an Englishman. Oh, fuck's sake. Oh, why are there racists living in this country? Oh, fuck's sake. The fact that I have to laugh at that actually is really sad. There are racist people in England. That is just fundamentally true. But it's also important to say that not all English people are racist as well.
I'm not saying racism or it just seemed that's what I get from you guys from Reform is.
But where do you find this? Do you find this on TV? Do you find it on newspapers? Where do you find this information?
I guess in the media I consume.
Yeah, but don't listen to media.
You literally got a camera behind you. Don't listen to the media while the Telegraph are recording behind you. Don't listen to the media. We want you to subscribe to us. Don't listen to the media while the Telegraph are literally recording behind.
Because media just makes a story. They're there to sell newspapers.
Yeah, that's right. The Telegraph. Don't listen to that cameraman behind us who represents the Telegraph. They just make up stories. They're just there to sell newspapers. Yeah, don't listen to the the Telegraph there behind me, guys. They're just there to sell newspapers. You couldn't make this fucking shit up.
I'm sorry, because this gentleman is from the Telegraph.
She literally just shat on the Telegraph in front of them. Fucking hell, she's stupid. Oh my God. It's so funny. I've got to laugh. You got to laugh, guys. Jesus Christ. Oh, God. Oh, dear, oh, dear, oh, dear. Yeah, I don't think he's going to vote Reform, guys. I'm just going to go out on a limb there. You know, I think this is a genuine... I'm going to say, look, I think this is a genuine person who's generally concerned about what Reform are offering, what Reform are saying, and I don't think he's honestly buying what they are saying there. And I think he's trying to be respectful. He's trying not to be rude. I think deep down he doesn't trust them. And I don't think he's going to cast his vote for Reform tomorrow, wherever in Norfolk, Suffolk, if I'm personally honest there. But I will say this, though. At least he was respectful enough. He was honest about his views, and they said what they wanted to say. But I think, you know, saying don't listen to the media when there's literally a camera behind you is quite a bit funny, I will say, though. I should share that with Darren, actually. He should, there, if he gets that as well. Oh, dear. This is an interesting one here. So, someone was speaking to a person. I think this is in Wales. This is his. The local elections on Thursday have absolutely nothing to do with immigration, yet this person is prepared to vote for a racist, anti-Semite leg cult on the single issue. So,
Who will you be voting for? Do you mind me asking for? What do you like about Reform's policies?
Just get the immigrants out in there. That's what I want. You better do it. If you don't, the country's gone to...
And is
if only he understood. You know, for someone that is quite older generation, he obviously doesn't understand that Wales have no control over immigration. It's a devolved matter. But he obviously doesn't understand that.
Is immigration a problem here in Wrexham?
It's everywhere, isn't it? It's not just Wrexham. It's everywhere, mate.
No, it's not. No, it's not. This is, again, this is what happens when you listen to certain media narratives and don't listen to different perspectives here. This is a sign of a gentleman who is not prepared to look out of the box of the confines of media consumption that he takes in, whether that's social media, whether it's newspapers, whether it's certain journalists. He only listens to a certain narrative. He's not prepared to listen to other narratives. And the certain narratives that he's listening to are all saying the same thing. Immigration is all the problems. And he obviously doesn't understand that we take immigration out. Nothing's going to work in it. Nothing's going to work, not just in England, but Wales too.
And that's it. It's everywhere.
So is that this election for you? Is it solely down to the problem of immigration, or is there anything else you like about their policies?
Yeah, but but I don't think they're going to be majorly different. But I'll give them a go. It's got to be better than fucking Labour.
Well, he obviously, he's at a certain age where it's like, oh, it don't matter anyway because I'm going to kick the bucket in a couple of years, couple of decades time anyway.
That's right, and
yeah. So
finally, Restore didn't get the chance to basically get themselves registered in time for these elections. No. If Restore were standing, would you prefer a Rupert Lowe government or a Nigel Farage government?
A Nigel Farage. See what he's like. If he's a bit like Trump, and he get it done.
Trump get it done. He thinks Trump will get it done, guys. He thinks Trump will get it done. Sorry, guys. Like I said, I got a cough and a lot of mucus. So, yeah, Trump's definitely getting it done in America. Yeah, Americans are definitely a lot better off. Just ask him about the gas prices over there. I'm sure he definitely understands that. Dumbass. Let's carry on, shall we?
I'm here in Basildon because in less than a week, people here will vote in elections that could hand power to Reform UK. I wanted to speak to the people who actually live here and find out what that would mean to them.
Currently, with the local elections, I fear that Reform are a very negative force within the community. I think their messages are very dangerous. There's very little policy.
What scares me most to my core is that it's going to become more open and more acceptable for people to be racist. Because I'm sorry, Reform are racist. It's not about, doing better for the whole community. So I just think you're going to have an increase in people openly abusing and being racist towards minorities of our community that have done absolutely nothing wrong apart from being born into a certain religion or having a slightly different skin tone to themselves.
There is a lack of understanding that what happens on a national level does not necessarily reflect what's happening on a local level. I'm personally quite impressed with Labour locally. They are very approachable, they're very passionate about the area. I'm really impressed with the things that they've done. Doesn't mean I'd vote for them on a national level, but here I would. The fact that people are falling for this line and this rhetoric is concerning because, it just shows that there's not that understanding of how it will impact the area.
What you just heard reflects.
And so those are just a couple of voters basically giving their views on that. I mean, some local councillors of Labour actually do a very good job. It's very important, worth that. Even Conservative councillors on the local level do good jobs as well. And that's why Lib Dems have been doing well as well in those areas, in those parts as well, in certain parts of councils as well. It's worth reminding ourselves of that. But some people just vote in these local elections just based on the national, how they're feeling nationally there. Reform UK is basically the national front of the new branching. End of discussion, says Chris C. I'm sick of these gobshites, says Suzanne. Yeah, I get you. Here's a political piece from Angela Rayner reminding us about the Nigel Farage who wants to take away your national healthcare service.
Nigel Farage has said in his own words that I think we're going to have to move to an insurance-based healthcare system.
And I think we're going to have to move to an insurance-based system of healthcare.
And when he was asked again this year about moving to an insurance-based model, his answer was he's open to anything. What an insurance-based model means for your mum, dad, family means the care you get depends on what you can afford to pay. An MRI, a GP appointment, an operation, all have a price tag. I grew up on a council estate in Stockport. My family couldn't afford that, and millions of families across the country can't afford that too. And that's what's at stake. And don't let anyone tell you otherwise.
And she's absolutely right, Angela Rayner there. She's absolutely right indeed. Viper Scott says, vote for the Democratic Penguins Republic. Vote for Ollie. Vote for Quackers. Vote for the Ducks. Good job. Thank you so much for the £2 super chat, my friend. I should actually point out that the gang are here. They are here behind me. They are a bit distraught, but they are all here. Cash Dummy, stop hiding. Cash Dummy, the gang are here, just for reference here. They have been here, and they want to say thank you, Viper Scott, for your support, both this morning and this evening. Ollie is actually a lot happier today. He's actually a lot happier today than he was yesterday, to be fair. Although Pingu wants me to stop coughing, I said to him I can't do that. It's not something that I can control. I said to him I have to wait for get the doctors after my holiday next week. And he said, get it faster. And I was like, well, you know, it's not as simple as that. I did explain that to him. I sent this one to Darren. You'll probably see this on Friday Frolics. But I wanted to share this one here just for lols because, yeah. So, I don't think this guy behind the doorbell is a fan of Labour. I think you could tell by the tweet kind of how he feels about Labour.
Hello there, my name's John. I'm calling from your local Labour Party.
Labour can fuck off. Labour fuck this country right up. Fuck off, go on, fuck off. Fucking Labour, all they've done to this country, all they're for is fucking Muslims and all the shit. That's all they want in this country. This country's fucked. You fucking lot, go and fuck off.
Yeah, clearly this man has issues because he clearly thinks that everything is all because of Muslims. So it shows how little, like, while it's all well and good telling Labour to F off here, F off here, you know, he mentioned Muslims there. He obviously clearly doesn't know anything. He thinks all his problems resolve around Muslims, which kind of shows the problem that he has there. So it's all well and good saying fuck off to Labour. But he seems like, saying about Muslims there is very concerning indeed. Good afternoon, Colin. Ollie man, good to see you there. I hope you are doing well. Anybody else maybe lurking in the chat? Monster Looney. No, that guy's he's a reform or restore voter, that is. Because if he didn't say anything about Muslims, he might have been just a normal nutter, but he's definitely a reform or restore voter, unfortunately. You can tell by the language there. So Rachel Millwood was speaking on BBC Politics Live.
I think we're expecting record-breaking results, and I think that what we're finding on the doorsteps up and down the country is people are absolutely fed up with Labour, with this Labour government, just as they were with the Conservative government before. We've seen a kind of continuation of austerity. We have a deeply unfair taxation system. We see the burden falling on vulnerable people again and again. We're the fifth richest country in the world, and yet 1 in 3 children are living in poverty. And people want to change, yeah. They voted for change. In fact, they joined the Labour Party a long time ago because they believed in fairness and in these kind of values that they're seeing eroded in a weak leadership. And so there is a lot of appetite for doing something differently.
Which is why some of them are choosing to go to reform, not just the Greens, unfortunately, to say on that as well. No, I think he reads the Daily Mail and Express, Chris C. I agree. Yeah, I think he reads them, to be fair. Why do people have to be so hateful, says We Show? So, yeah, I you know, the language is very, like, you know, it's just like I remember a few years ago, the first time a reform candidate turned up at my door, and I didn't answer the door, but my missus answered the door, and she never was like, she was never rude or anything like that, you know, gave our views, and they never knocked on this door ever again, you know. No, it's funnily how nobody seemed to have knocked on our door, you know. The only thing I've had is only two leaflets have come into our post, and they're both from Green. No Labour, no Tory, no other party. For the sake of that there. That woman is weird. Rachel Millwood, she's one half of the deputy leader of the Green Party. I think, you know, Rachel is not bad. Rachel is not bad. I think she's okay. You know, at times I think she's very, very good. I think she'll be a very good person, a very good MP. I think she's definitely got some good spots there. There's sometimes, you know, I have my concerns about Ellie Chalwood in Parliament as an MP, but some people will disagree. But I think Rachel is okay. I think personally there. Now I do want to share this clip here as well. I know some people are not going to like this, but I do want to share it for context here because Labour have put this out, and like I say, you know, I'm trying to be a bit fair here today, guys. So Labour have released a video containing anti-Semitic quotes from Green Party candidates.
The word anti-Semitic has lost all meaning. I've yet to see a Zionist act in kindness or with love and compassion. Today, England has a government overrepresented with Zionist Jews, and it appears they care more for Israel than England. The leaders of Israel and Gaza conspired to carry out what happened on October 7th for financial gain. The London ambulance attack, of course it was a false flag. Ramming a synagogue isn't anti-Semitism, it's revenge. It takes serious effort not to be a tiny bit anti-Semitic. The money-grubbing thieves have built mountains of money over centuries. Jewish cockroaches. I don't believe any of these things. I've lived in the UK almost 60 years. I've lived happily in a wonderfully diverse community as a Jewish person. None of these statements are criticisms of Israel. They are all stereotypes, demonizations, or conspiracy theories of Jews at large.
I disagree, but let us speak.
They are anti-Semitic. They are racism towards Jews. But every single one of them was said or written or shared by people who are standing for election for the Green Party in the local elections this year.
Not all of them, let's be absolutely clear. And to say that there isn't some of these people with these kind of views in the Conservatives or Labour or other parties is just folly.
Some of them for the place I live. Perhaps for the place where you live. I don't want to be represented by people who think like this. And I don't think you do either.
Now, do I think some Green Party candidates said some of that language? Yes, I do. Do I think it's right if some of those people end up becoming should be candidates if they've said said those lines? No, they should not. I think there is a line with some of the things some of the language that she used there. But I wouldn't say that every single candidate is like this. I think there are always bad apples in all political parties, not just the Greens. But we know that there is a desperate attempt to smear the Green Party as well. And also, while it's all worth her saying that as a Jewish person, she's obviously completely reminiscent of the fact that the leader of the Green Party is also a Jewish person. So it's just worth pointing that out as well. But I did want to share that because I do think it is worth, even if I don't agree with a lot of what she's saying, I think it's worth sharing different perspectives, even if we disagree with them. I was always a Labour lady with green ideas. I'm confused now, says Suzanne. What did the actual F Labour? Yeah, well, we look. If you are surprised by Labour stooping this low, remember how Labour treated themselves during the by-election for Gorton and Denton. They lied about certain things they tried to smear the Green Party in that as well. Not reform, with no reform with smearing, but even Labour stooped to very low levels as well. So to say that Labour wouldn't stoop to these levels is to stop the Greens is folly. I think that's really, really important to add there. So Kemi Bagonot wants you to vote Conservative. I did say, don't worry, we are going to get to the Welsh and Scottish videos. Don't worry, I'm not forgetting them, guys. I haven't forgotten them.
Conservative Party has a plan for drivers. We're the only ones who understand what it's like to need to drive for work.
That's right. We're going to take away all those bus lanes. We're going to take away the trains. We're going to get you all back behind the wheel. Okay, they're not actually promising that, but no, I'm just putting those words in their mouth.
And we know that Sadiq Khan and Labour have this war on motorists here right across our capital city and right across our country.
War on motorists. Well, it's quite shocking that they don't realise that, you know, London has this thing called the London Underground. You know, it's this tube network, and you can actually get around a lot faster when you don't need to rely on a car. Just saying.
But we've got a plan for drivers which has some really key and important policies to help you.
First of all, we're going to lift the ban on petrol and diesel cars. We can't afford it. The infrastructure is not there. This is one of Ed Miliband's silly net zero schemes. We've got to stop that.
Yeah, of course, because, you know, I'm very happy to be taking my plenty of financial donations that I happily took in my bank account from think tanks and whatnot that definitely do not have any links whatsoever to any oil and gas companies in any way, shape or form, or any climate deniers groups in any way, shape or form, says Kemi Badenoch as her nose gets a little bit bigger and a little bit pointier.
We want to end blanket 20-mile-an-hour speed limits. Yes, outside nurseries and schools, but not across boroughs because people just don't stick to them.
And
yep, that's right. We want to see more people getting hit by cars. That's why you should vote Conservative.
also fighting to stop Labour's fuel duty hike. They want to put an extra 5p on top of fuel, which is already sky high.
And finally, we want to open up bus lanes so that if you're a motorcyclist, you can always use a bus lane. And actually, they're only operating during the hours when they're needed, not there all the time. We think if you pay your road tax, you should be able to use our roads.
That's right, guys. Yeah. So, yep, we want to make it more difficult for buses to be able to get to A to B. Yeah, in all times, guys, not just the busy hours. Yeah, because yeah, definitely car drivers will definitely respect those laws during rush hour period as well.
If you like our plan for drivers, vote Conservative on Thursday, 7th of May.
Yeah, I'm not personally going to, but you can take that on board however you like, guys. However you like. And that one's going to take too long because it's 5 minutes long. But Sam Coates did speak to Kemi Badenoch about things as well. Owen Jones here on the smear campaign against the Green Party, and I think this is a very good clip reminding us that the Greens are being targeted more than anybody else. Chris C says, "Can I point out that ULEZ was started by Boris Johnson?" I wonder if she would criticise Boris Johnson. I wonder if someone has asked her that question. I don't think they have, Chris. I don't think they have.
The media and Greens' political opponents are scouring through the feed of every Green Party candidate or member they can find in a way that's not happening with any other party membership with that level of scrutiny. Inevitably, they found a handful of people who said outrageous anti-Semitic things, and it's important to say that, and action obviously has to be taken against them. But that is then falsely extrapolated to portray the Green Party as a whole as anti-Semitic in a way that does not happen to, say, the Tories of Reform, who are infested with racist members and candidates and who are in parties which have policies to, for example, actually focus on kicking out foreigners, migrants, refugees, actually taking action against people from minorities. Now, indeed, the polling has found, unsurprisingly, that the voters at the least anti-Semitic end are Green voters. The voters with the highest prevalence of anti-Semitic views are Tory and Reform voters. There is nowhere near the same coverage when it comes to the racism of, say, Reform, a party whose signature issue is kicking foreigners out of the country, like the Reform leader of Staffordshire County Council, who said a black British lawyer should have fucked off back to Nigeria and called Sadiq Khan a narcissistic Pakistani. The only member of the Welsh Parliament who used an offensive Chinese racial slur, a Reform election agent who used a slur against black people and agreed with Holocaust denial, and indeed the leader of Reform, Nigel Farage, who has allegations made by 34 former fellow students of extreme anti-Semitic views and bullying. It's transparent what's happening. There is a deliberate attempt to portray a mass movement of progressive people who overwhelmingly have anti-racism at the very core of their political identity, and to find anyone they can find to portray the entire membership as racist in a way that would not be done if it was another party who actually are infested with A, racist, and B, have racist policies.
Very strong indeed there. Very, very strong indeed. We covered that one. I'm going to leave this one because I just want to keep an eye on the time here But I just want to remind Jeremy Corbyn as well.
Tomorrow is polling day. Vote independent. Vote to support real change in our society. The polling stations open at 7 in the morning and they close at 10 at night. If you have a postal vote and you haven't been able to post it in, you can take it to any polling station in your area and put it in there, and it will be counted so that your vote will not be missed. But the most important thing is to actually go out and vote. Great that you've told our canvassers you support them. Great that you support the campaign. Great you support the program we're putting forward. But the key part is to go and do it. Put that cross alongside the name of the independent candidates you're supporting. Thank you very much.
And that's for your party or independent candidates out there for reference there. Stephen Mon, thank you so much for the 20 New Zealand dollars. How are you, my friend? Hope you are doing well. Good morning. It's a first beautiful. I hope it's a beautiful Thursday morning where you are. Thank you so much for the super chat, my friend. Very much appreciate it. And somehow I think I missed a super chat from Mr. E earlier because I thought I missed a super chat earlier. Thank you so much for the £2 super chat, Mr. E. Very much appreciated. Guys, if I ever miss a super chat, please make sure mods, please at me so I don't forget. Thank you so much, Mr. E. If I didn't say that, I very much appreciate it. Very, very kind of you. Thank you for that super chat earlier. And thank you, Steve, for a very generous 20 New Zealand dollars. I hope you are doing well. Over 300 local libraries closed down in austerity. And Tommy writes through a brick at once, says Suzanne. Yeah, absolutely disgusting indeed. Grissy says, okay, Corbyn really needs to retire. He wants to keep going. Let him keep going is what I'm going to say. Let him keep going indeed. Right. Before I upset our Scottish and Welsh viewers, let's go across some other parts here. Where is it? John Sweeney has a message for people in Scotland. Hold on, let me make sure. Should I do that one? Let me do that one. Tomorrow, Scotland's future is in your hands. This is what I offer you as First Minister, says John Sweeney.
I want people in Scotland to know exactly what they're getting with me, because these are serious times and they demand serious leadership. I've spent my entire adult life in the service of this country. I know how to get things done. If I'm re-elected as your First Minister, I will give everything I have to make this country a better place for everyone who lives here. I will stand against those who seek to divide us. I will use every bit of my experience to deliver on the promises I make, and I will give every fibre of my being to always standing up for Scotland, because like you, I care about and I love Scotland. That is who I am. It is who I have always been. And that is who I will be if you put your faith in me as your First Minister. So on May the 7th, vote SNP for strong, experienced leadership. Vote SNP to improve our NHS. Vote SNP for more help with the cost of living. And vote SNP for the fresh start of independence, because this election is Scotland's great opportunity. We are standing on the verge of a truly historic moment.
That's for the SNP there. So I wanted to share that for any Scottish viewers who haven't seen that already. Viper Scott, thank you for the £2 super chat just to give support. Thank you so much, my friend. Appreciate that. Very much appreciated there. Your party is very confusing. Your party is why your party called your party. Yeah, the name I hate. Yeah, there's a lot of problems with them. To be fair, a lot of problems with them. They really aren't going to do well at all. They're not going to do well at all. SNP, however, well, let's hope. Well, I say to the people of Scotland, you guys have to make the choice yourselves. As I don't have every single party in Scotland. I don't actually. I forgot. Oh, I'm so sorry. I was supposed to get at least one political broadcast from Scottish Labour. So I do apologise to Anasawa there.
Scotland is ready for change with fairness at its heart. And in 10 constituencies across the country, on the west coast and the Highlands, in Strathkelvin and Bearsden, in Edinburgh and Fife, we can beat the SNP. But wherever you are, a vote for the Liberal Democrats on that second peach-coloured regional ballot will elect a local champion who'll fight for you and your community. You ready for action, guys? Yeah!
That's up to you if you want to vote for Lib Dems in Scotland there. Zach Polanski here was talking about Scottish independence here. The sound is quite low, but I did want to... I haven't actually read this and responded to this, but I wanted to share this as well and give my thoughts with this as well.
Who the hell does Wes Streeting think he is? The way that he spoke about Scotland recently is if Westminster owns Scotland. As if you need to bring out your begging bowl and ask for permission. If there is a pro-independence majority in 2 weeks' time, then I think that should be case done, because ultimately that is the people of Scotland in a democratic election voting for people who are not hiding their want and desire for independence, who are being very vocal about their want and desire for independence for Scotland. And the idea that there will be a democratic election in Scotland where the majority of people vote for parties that want independence, and then Wes Streeting or any Labour minister, and certainly the Prime Minister, would turn to Scotland and go, oh, we know what you want, but you can't have it because we're not giving you permission. That is outrageous. It's crucially undemocratic, but also I think it reveals the real, quite frankly, sinister attitude that this Labour Westminster government have had towards Scotland and the people of Scotland, and about their basic rights to determination. I realise the question's a bit meta, because it's definitely not for me to recommend to Scottish politicians what they should do. What I think the Westminster government should do is to recognise the democratic will of the Scottish people. And I think there's something unstoppable about a movement happening in this country. And I think the conversation, by the way, is starting to happen in Wales too, where Wales recognise the kind of underinvestment. They're a few years behind the conversation, I guess, about independence, but it's certainly starting to bubble away. And I think that's only so long you can keep people in a system or in a process that is against their will, before people understandably get more resentful, more angry, more frustrated. And I think that's been happening in Scotland for a while. And I think it gets to the point where I can't see why a UK Prime Minister would want to keep a country in a union who had demonstrated so clearly with votes that they didn't want to be in that union anymore. And I think at some point, not that I think Scotland should have to ask for permission, but there becomes a point where the Westminster government realises it's against their own interests anyway to keep a country that keeps rejecting them so clearly. It almost becomes embarrassing. It's like having a house party and your guests tell you they really don't want to be there, but you've locked the door. And so ultimately I think we need to make sure that the people have keys to their own front door and they're able to make the decisions they want to. I guess the epilogue I want to put on that is, I hope it comes across, but I'm really fond of Scotland. So this isn't me kind of saying, I hope Scotland, disappears. I want us to maintain really strong relationships in the same way that the Green Party of England and Wales have with Scotland. This is just about where power lies, and we believe in the principle of subsidiarity, that ultimately power should be at the most local level. And it seems obvious that if a country wants to govern itself and be independent, then it should have the ability and power to do it. Who the hell
to do that, basically? Yeah. You cannot, I'm speaking as an English, but let me just come to the super chats before I give my thoughts here. Thank you, Stephen Moore, for the $5 New Zealand dollars. I appreciate that. It's very, very kind of you. Already, very, very generous tonight, as it is. Much appreciated. And thank you again, Mr. E, for another £2 super chat there to hit your target. Thank you, my friend. Thank you very much indeed. We have hit today's super chat target. Thank you guys for everyone who sent super chats tonight. Very much appreciated there. Good evening, Christine. I hope you are doing well. So let me just say this as an Englishman as well, speaking from the outside. I'm very much on the position of where Zach Polanski is on this. You cannot be somebody that, even if you are a unionist, and you believe in democracy, if you are somebody that believes that Scotland should not be allowed to have that vote, then you're already against democracy in and of itself. Because you are denying people the right to make that choice for themselves. And it's actually quite because of, and it's even more kind of foretelling that recent events in the Falklands, where we had talk about, you know, the US reviewing its view of the Falklands as British sovereign territory and whatnot. You know, it's you know, the people of the people on that island chose to remain British, chose to remain part of the British overseas territory. They made that democratically willed choice. Now, people will go back and say, well, Scotland made their choice back in 2014. Yes, they did. But one of the key points I always bring up whenever somebody asks me about why they should have another vote, it's not just the point of, well, it's in a democracy, people are allowed to change their minds. You know, it's just because we had Conservatives for 14 years doesn't mean we should be continuing to have Conservatives for 14 years. The point is that people are allowed to change their minds. But crucially, with regards to that 2014 vote, many people in Scotland were told that they were not going to be leaving the European Union. And the simple fact of the matter is, they were lied to on that. They were not told that there was going to be a vote 2 years later, a referendum on remaining or leaving the European Union. They were lied to on that. That is just so just on that basis alone, and I've actually said this before, it's actually null and void because false promises were made, and many of those promises have not been kept, and in fact have been broken. And therefore, many people in Scotland have just had enough. I've had enough of the bollocks, had enough of the lies, had enough of Westminster saying what they can and can't do, and they're sick to death of it. And it's their choice. If they want to have that vote, they should be allowed to have that vote. And anyone who says that they can't otherwise, I'm sorry, you don't fucking sit there and tell me you believe in democracy if you're not prepared to give the people of Scotland a chance to decide for themselves. It's as simple as that. You know, I really like, do I want the union to break up? Personally, I don't. But I also, I personally don't want the union to break up. But I also understand that it is not a fair union, which is why it needs to break up for the benefit of Scotland, for the benefit of England, for the benefit of Wales, and for hopefully for Northern Ireland unification with Ireland. Because I believe it will be in all of the nation's best interest rather than the United Kingdom. Because even though the UK United Kingdom sounds like 4 nations working together, it's not equal. And that's the problem. It's not been equal I don't think it's ever been equal according to history. Which is what it's like, why? Why has it not been fairer? Why has it not been a fair system? So that's my 2 cents on it anyway. Yeah, same just applies to Wales. Absolutely, Sarah. Absolutely. Mr. E, thank you so much for the 5 gifted memberships to he's gifted himself a membership. Craig, Finley, Darth 001 and Jim and Nature's Amira have all been gifted memberships there. Thank you so much for the 5 gifted memberships, Mr. E. That's very, very kind of you. I really appreciate that. House is not fit on purpose anyway because Jojo progressive ideas. Christina, yes, yes, you could buy Reganelite a coffee. Yeah, you don't have to become a member. You don't have to if you don't want to do it through YouTube, you can also join Patreon or you could buy me a coffee. Links for those options are in the description if you don't want to join YouTube membership or leave a super chat. You have those options if you want to. Guys, we're going to go a little bit longer because I just want to make sure, because I do want to give Scotland and Wales its time because I haven't given enough of them there, but because I spent too long talking about that. But I just wanted to put that context out there for people there. I've got to put this on here, guys. Let's make history. Vote Reform tomorrow. Get real change.
Reform are the only party offering genuine change and new ambitious leadership for Wales, whereas Plaid
Really? What exactly are you offering that's going to make the people of Wales better?
Cymru have been Labour's puppets for the last 27 years. They haven't got the answers. They've been part of the problem. They're not the solution. And their push for independence will divide Wales, whereas reform will unite Wales around common sense policies and the
common sense policies, guys. Yeah, common sense policies.
Principle of putting you, the people of Wales, first. So if you want to turn this country round and you want common sense policies, vote reform on the 7th of May.
Yeah, okay. Common sense policies, guys. There you go. I'll let you guys decide on that. I'm not going to go for that one again. Unfortunately, the Conservatives actually think they have a chance in Scotland as well. I know, shocking, guys. God, hold on, let me get God, why can't they use all similar screens here?
I enjoy a wee dram from time to time, and this is a very rare and special bottle of Scotch. Peach Vote Tory.
The SNP say they'll win a majority on the 7th of May. They would then immediately demand another divisive independence referendum. That's the last thing our country needs.
Waking up to an SNP majority would be worse than any hangover in history. But
he must have had a lot of hangovers. I think he's had quite a few hangovers, guys. Just saying, I think he's had quite a few hangovers.
People across Scotland can stop this from happening. As it says in the label, use your peach ballot paper to vote Scottish Conservative. So please, vote responsibly.
And you can vote responsibly by not giving your vote to the Conservative Party.
Peach Vote Tory. I'll raise a glass to that. Cheers.
Cheers.
I don't know how many of you guys are going to buy that. It's Scottish whiskey, says 234. Listen, like I said, I'm just being fair. You know, I do apologise for not having Scottish Labour broadcast here, guys. I'm just trying to be fair. That's all, guys. I'm just trying to be fair. That's all. That's all.
A nationalist government
Oh, hold on. I ain't got the screen. There we go.
in Wales. It's looking more likely. Our latest poll shows that Plaid Cymru have pulled ahead of Reform in the race to be the largest party in the Senedd. Plaid are up 4 points at 33% of the vote. Reform stay the same at 29%. Labour drop a point to 12%. The Conservatives gain a point and they go to 9%. The Greens dip by 2 to go to 8%, and the Lib Dems hold steady at 6%. This poll also predicts Plaid's seat share going up by 7 to 43. So that would put them in a good position to form a minority government. So two things are really interesting about this poll. The first is that it looks like Plaid Cymru's messaging might be working, despite it being criticised as misleading. So they've been arguing that they are the only party that can beat Reform, despite the new voting system not working like that. We asked people what the biggest factor deciding their vote was, and the most common answer was stopping Reform. Another really interesting thing is voting by age. This poll shows that if only 16 to 24-year-olds were voting, Plaid's vote share would jump to 55%. 16-year-olds can vote in a Senedd election. It's only the second time they've been able to do so, and the first time it was kind of seen as a false start because it was 2021, we were in and out of lockdown still with COVID, so it'll be interesting to see if 16 and 17-year-olds tip the scale this time. Of course, polls are just snapshots and they don't tell the full story. And with the new Dehont voting method, even the smallest of percentage changes in any constituency could be make or break. Anything can happen. Less than 48 hours until Wales decides.
Interesting food for thoughts there. Some interesting food for thoughts there about Scotland. Let's hear from its leader, of course, Rian. I hope I said his name right. Let's hear from him as well. I did manage to get him. I did manage to get him for you guys as well.
There's a significant difference in having a party that is based solely in Wales, responsible only for the well-being of the people of Wales, making a case and putting forward a vision, compared with a party that ultimately is a branch of a UK-wide party. And I think that's what excites people. Politics of untapped ambition and the sense of being held back in realising that ambition. And I want to have a constructive relationship with whoever the next UK Prime Minister will be. but it will be a relationship where my loyalty is very, very clear throughout. It is to the people of Wales, and in getting the gains I think we need for Wales on investment, on infrastructure, on HS2, on the Crown Estate, on devolution of policing, on those things that can make a real difference to the people of Wales. There's a significant...
And I hope so. I generally hope so, you know. Is that one? I do have some Channel 4 ones as well. Is it worth sharing the Channel 4 ones? Yeah, because Channel 4 does tend to be a bit, it's unbiased. It's very neutral, shall we say. Let's play the Channel 4 ones for Scotland and Wales as well.
Here's why the Scottish election matters. Number one, independence. The SNP has been in power here for nearly 2 decades. If they win with a majority, they've promised to push for another independence referendum. If Plaid Cymru wins in Wales, that will be 3 First Ministers, Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland, who all want to push the future of the UK up the political agenda. Number two, what it will mean for Labour. Now, Scottish Labour's Anna Sarwar 2 years ago looked on course to become the next First Minister. Those hopes have been fading, with the blame put firmly at Keir Starmer's door in Downing Street. Anna Sarwar has already called for Keir Starmer to quit. A poor result here will only increase pressure on the Prime Minister. And number three, reform. We're expecting Reform UK to make a breakthrough in Scotland at these elections. The party says it wants to shake things up, including here at the Scottish Parliament. They could help split the pro-UK or anti-independence vote in some areas, and some polls suggest they could come second.
They could come second, but there's also some polls suggesting Scottish Greens could do as well.
Here's why the Welsh Parliament election matters. Number one, it could see a dramatic loss for Labour. If the polls are right, then we might be about to witness a big moment in British politics. For over 100 years, Labour has consistently won the most votes in every Wales-wide election and led the government here since Wales got its own parliament in 1999. And that could all be about to change. Number two, who could take over? If Labour loses, then the polls suggest one of 2 parties could end up with the most seats. Plaid Cymru, whose leader is Srina Purworth and who are pro-Welsh independence, or Reform UK, their leader in Wales is Dan Thomas. Number three, smaller parties could soon play a big role. In this election there's a brand new system, more politicians, 96 up from 60, and the country's new proportional voting system means if Plaid Cymru or Reform were to become the biggest party on Friday, then they'd struggle to govern without the help of others, like the Greens perhaps, Liberal Democrats or Conservatives. It could all mean a very different looking political landscape here.
It's going to be very, very fascinating, to say the least there. Very fascinating indeed. Man, there's so much more I want to share with you guys, but I'm already well over time. I guess I never got a chance to share Ed Davey's political pitch. I'm going to leave that here. But I do want to share this, though. Just one more thing on Reform Russia here, to kind of just remind the viewers, like, I know some people may be watching or lurking in the background that may be Reform supporters, that might be Reform supporters, but I really recommend not supporting them, and there's just one of many videos of why you shouldn't. I wonder if I can get a better one. Hold on a second. See if I can get a better video. Maybe that. There.
Hey, y'all, come look at this. If this operation stops Iran getting a nuclear weapon, it would have been worth it. And I believe that very, very strongly. I'm normally incredibly nervous about intervening in foreign wars. I believe this is the right one. Let's not get ourselves involved in another foreign war.
Everyone that comes illegally will be deported, full stop, end of story.
We're talking about hundreds of thousands of illegal immigrants are in Britain at the moment. Some estimates say the number could even be in, 1 million plus. So do you support deporting all of those people?
It's impossible to do. Literally impossible to do.
And we will cut taxes. We will cut taxes, especially Nobody that earns less than £20,000 a year should pay any income tax whatsoever.
I never said we cut. I never said we cut.
Your leaflet said cut your taxes.
Well, which means don't charge the maximum of 4.99%.
Most people would think that would be cutting your taxes.
Never once in the country ever did I say we would cut council tax.
Was it a mistake to put it on your leaflet?
I never put it on my leaflets.
You did. It said reduce waste and cut your taxes. Those were the words.
Nothing with my name ever went on that.
That was on a Reform UK leaflet in Kent.
Nothing with my name ever went on that.
And that is why we believe lifting the two-child cap is the right thing to do.
Now, no one actually listened to what I said. I mean, this happens, I know. But what I said was, we should remove the two-child cap for British working couples.
Yeah, quite a lot of BS there, guys. Quite a lot of BS, but it is what it is, I'm afraid. I'm sorry I don't have a funny video for you guys, because I just wanted to make sure I had plenty of stuff on the election for tonight. But I will just say my last pitch before I end the live stream, guys. Look, if you are voting tomorrow, you know, just make sure that you make sure if you need ID, make sure you have ID. If you need your polling card, make sure you have your polling card. Make sure you make the time to cast your vote, even if it means avoiding my live stream tomorrow morning, guys. Make sure you cast your vote. Casting your vote is far more important than watching my live stream tomorrow at 11 a.m. I generally mean that, because it is the one time that you, whenever elections come around, the one time where you get to have a say. It really, really does matter. Regardless of where you are, regardless of what political affiliation you are, whether you are SNP, whether you're Plaid, whether you're Green, hell, even if you're Labour or if you're Reform, make sure you cast your vote, because it really, really does matter. So just make sure you get out there and vote, and make your voice heard, because that's the most important thing. Because if you don't vote, I've said this before, I've said this to my partner's mum, and I'm saying this to you guys in the chat. If you don't vote, you can't complain about what goes on, because you've had no say whatsoever. So make sure you get out there and cast your vote. If it's by post or if it's in person, make sure you do it. If you have friends and relatives, make sure that they cast their vote as well. Make sure that they have everything they need to cast their vote as well, so that they're as well. All that good stuff. Really, really important indeed. Sorry about my sore throat, guys, because it's been not sore throat. It's a terrible cough. It's been killing me all day, guys. I want to say a massive thank you to everyone who came along tonight. I want to say thank you for all your comments. I do apologise that I did not get to read every single one of your lovely comments, guys, because there's been so many. It's been wonderful to have so many people join here tonight. It will be a while before I do another Good Evening live stream. In fact, it will be exactly 1 week from today is when we will have another evening live stream. I'm planning to do a evening live stream next Thursday. A good evening live stream, because that will be the day that I will be returning home from the holiday. So just for reference there, in case you're wondering there. I'll be back tomorrow with another Good Morning live stream. And there will also be a live stream on Friday morning as well. And that one will be doing an election special. We'll have a look at some of the results in Wales, in England, and in Scotland. Not all the results are going to come out, obviously, but we'll have a look at them and we'll see what's going on. So do join me on Friday at 11 o'clock. If you can't join me tomorrow because you're casting your vote, do join me on Friday morning, and we'll have a look at what's available to us there as well. But I also want to say a big thank you to everyone who sent super chats tonight. Thank you, Mr. E, for before my voice cracks, for the gifted memberships as well. Very much appreciated. Guys, if you can, on your way out for me, whether you're on YouTube or if you're on Twitch, hit the follow button and bell notification icon. If you're on YouTube, please hit that like button. Please share this across social media. Please consider subscribing to the channel. If you guys want to help support the channel just as much, One of the best ways you can do as well, which I'm really struggling at the moment, short videos are, YouTube is deliberately and intentionally not promoting my short videos. If you can watch them, leave comments and share them, be greatly appreciated as well. They're only 60-second clips of news bulletins, so if you can support me that way as well, it would be greatly appreciated. But but I do appreciate everybody coming out tonight. So again, I'll be back live tomorrow at 11 a.m. But before you join me tomorrow morning, make sure you do check out Graham Hughes' Hughes of the World at 9 a.m. for his Good Morning Brew. I know Dave McGuinness said he won't be going live tomorrow morning, but I'll be live as usual, guys. So thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to catch you all very, very soon.